Get down now! They're coming!
They're almost here! What do we do?
The scorched canyon walls echoed with gunfire as 5 heavily armed scalp hunters cornered a terrified Apache girl, her deerskin dress torn and her black hair wild, and it seemed nothing could prevent another atrocity in that blood-soaked borderland. Jack Darby, a lone rancher riding back from a failed cattle sale, heard the shots and the screams, and without a single thought for his own safety, he spurred his horse straight into the ambush with only a worn-out revolver and a heart that couldn't abide bullying of any kind. The hunters turned their rifles on him, and Jack dove from his saddle to shield the trembling girl with his own body, feeling the first bullet tear through his shoulder, then another into his side. And still he fired back until 3 outlaws lay dead, and the remaining 2 fled into the dust. As the echoes died, the young woman, Alope, daughter of Apache Chief Victorio, looked down at the white man whose blood soaked the ground, and she knew that this stranger had just given his life for hers without any reason other than pure, stubborn decency. Before you witness the shocking reward this wounded rancher received that stunned the entire frontier, tap that subscribe button and ring the bell so Westfield Stories Official can keep bringing you these powerful tales of courage that the history books forgot to tell. Jack lay in a pool of his own blood, 5 bullets lodged in his flesh, and as his vision faded, the last thing he saw was not the face of an enemy, but of a girl weeping and calling for her father's warriors to come quickly and help carry this dying white man. Chief Victorio arrived with a dozen braves, and though his instinct was to leave the white stranger to his fate, his daughter's desperate pleas and the evidence of the dead hunters changed his mind. So he ordered his medicine man to work with all the power of the ancient herbs. For 3 weeks, Jack hovered between life and death in a wickiup, nursed by Alope herself, who refused to leave his side, and when he finally opened his eyes, he was greeted not by hostility, but by the soft hum of Apache healing songs and a girl's radiant smile. Victorio visited Jack's bedside and spoke in halting English, saying that his daughter's life was worth more than 100 horses, and a man who would die for her honor had earned the right to be called brother, not enemy, by every warrior of the Apache nation. The white community in the nearby town of Dry Fork heard rumors that a rancher was being held captive by the Apaches, and a posse formed to rescue him. But when they reached the camp, they found Jack walking freely, his wounds bandaged with traditional poultices, laughing with the warriors. Jack told the posse that he had never been a captive but a guest, and he would not leave until he had properly repaid the debt of hospitality, which confused and enraged some of the townsfolk who had never seen a white man treat the Apache with anything but contempt or fear. Over the months, Jack's wounds healed completely, and he learned the Apache language and customs, discovering that Alope was not just the chief's daughter, but a skilled herbalist and a woman of fierce intelligence who could track a deer for miles and discuss the stars with poetic wonder. Their friendship deepened into something more, a love that dared not speak its name in a world where such unions were considered an abomination. But neither Jack nor Alope could deny the connection that had been forged in blood and nurtured by mutual respect. Chief Victorio saw the way they looked at each other and, instead of forbidding it, called a council of elders and declared that this white man had proven his heart was Apache in everything but skin, and he offered Jack the hand of his daughter in marriage. The news shocked everyone. The settlers thought Jack had gone native and lost his mind, and some Apache traditionalists grumbled that the old ways were being abandoned. But Victorio was a visionary who believed that peace required bridges, not walls, and this marriage was the strongest bridge imaginable. Jack and Alope were wed in a ceremony that blended Apache ritual and a frontier preacher's blessing, with warriors and a few open-minded settlers watching in stunned silence as the couple exchanged vows under the open sky, sealing an alliance that would change the territory forever. The couple built a ranch on the boundary between the reservation and White Lands, a place they called Two Worlds, where they raised cattle and also grew traditional Apache crops like squash and corn, proving that cooperation could produce abundance where conflict had only produced graves. Dry Fork's townsfolk were divided. Some shunned Jack as a traitor, but others slowly came to respect the peace that his marriage had secured, because Apache raiding parties that had once terrorized the region now respected the neutral ground of Two Worlds Ranch and left the settlers alone. Jack and Alope had 3 children, all of whom grew up fluent in English and Apache, learning both the Bible and the stories of Coyote the Trickster, and they became living symbols that hatred was not a natural law, but a poison that could be cured by understanding and love. One day, a group of bitter scalp hunters, including the 2 survivors of the canyon fight, returned for revenge, attacking the ranch under cover of darkness with torches and rifles. But they had underestimated the combined might of the Apache warriors and the settlers who had come to respect Jack and Alope. Victorio's braves, alerted by the war cries of a young ranch hand, rode to the rescue alongside a posse from Dry Fork, led by the very sheriff who had once condemned Jack's choices. And together, they fought side by side, driving off the hunters for good in a display of unity that no one could have predicted. The battle cemented the alliance, and the town's newspaper printed a headline that read, "White and red blood spilled together to protect the peace," marking the first time in territorial history that a local paper had portrayed the Apache as heroes rather than villains. Jack and Alope became the de facto ambassadors between the United States Army and the Apache Nation, often called upon to translate grievances and prevent misunderstandings that could have erupted into wars. And their reputation for honesty on both sides made them indispensable mediators. In recognition of his sacrifice and his work for peace, the governor eventually awarded Jack a special land grant that expanded Two Worlds Ranch, and he used the additional acres to create a school where Apache and settler children learned side by side, erasing the ignorance that breeds hatred. Alope, now a mother and a respected leader in her own right, taught the children of all races the healing arts of her people, and her knowledge of desert plants saved countless lives during epidemics, earning her the grudging title of the Angel of the Borderlands, even among the hardest hearts. The couple lived to a ripe old age, and by the time they reached their golden years, the very idea that a white man could marry an Apache woman no longer shocked anyone in the territory. It was celebrated as the foundation upon which a lasting peace had been constructed. On the 50th anniversary of the Canyon ambush, the entire population of Dry Fork gathered at Two Worlds Ranch for a feast of buffalo and beef, and Chief Victorio's successor, an old man who had been a young brave at Jack's wedding, recited the story of the 5 bullets and the love that followed. Jack, his body still carrying the scars of those bullets, rose to speak. His voice cracked with age, and he said that every drop of blood he shed that day had been repaid 1,000-fold, in the joy of his wife and children and the knowledge that hatred could be defeated by a single act of selfless courage. Alope, her hair now silver, took his hand and added that her father had been right. A true warrior does not count the cost when honor demands action, and she was living proof that even the most unlikely strangers can become the most precious family when fear is replaced by trust. The story of Jack Darby and the Apache chief's daughter spread far beyond the territory, inspiring dime novels and even a traveling play. But Jack and Alope never sought fame, preferring the quiet rhythm of their ranch and the knowledge that their love had made the world a little less violent. After Jack passed at the age of 82, Alope buried him on a hill overlooking the canyon where they first met, and she placed a marker carved with a bullet and a feather, symbols of the two worlds that had come together inside his courageous heart that fateful afternoon. Alope joined him in the spirit world 2 winters later, and by then their children and grandchildren had multiplied so greatly that half the valley could claim descent from the white rancher and the Apache princess who had defied all odds to build a legacy of love and reconciliation. Today, the descendants still run Two Worlds Ranch, and the school still stands, now a historical monument with a plaque that reads, Here, one man's sacrifice and one woman's forgiveness taught us that no bullet can kill the human spirit when it is bound by love and honor. I hope this story of a man who took 5 bullets for an Apache girl and the shocking, beautiful outcome that followed has stirred something deep within you, because the Old West was not just a place of violence, but also of improbable mercy and the kind of love that can heal centuries of wounds. If Jack and Elope's journey from bloodshed to a united family moved you, then please give this video a heartfelt like, share it with someone who believes in bridges over barriers, and tell us in the comments what you would have done if you found yourself in that canyon with bullets flying. Subscribe to West Old Stories Official and ring that bell, because our digital campfire is always ablaze with more tales of frontier courage, forbidden love, and the shocking moments that changed the course of history in the untamed American West. Thank you for spending this time with us, and remember that wherever you are and whatever divisions you face, a single act of selflessness can rewrite the story of a whole community and turn the most bitter enemies into the most steadfast allies. May your own life be filled with the courage to shield the innocent, the wisdom to see past skin and culture, and the grace to build a world where no one is shocked by love that crosses every boundary that fear has ever erected. Until our next story rides into your heart, keep your mind open, your rifle clean, and your spirit ready to defend what is right, because the frontier is never truly tamed until every soul has a home and every heart a hand to hold. The campfire is still burning, the stars are still twinkling over the canyon, and West Old Stories Official will be right here when you're ready for the next chapter of courage, redemption, and the kind of romance that only the Old West could produce. From our storytelling family to yours, we bid you peace, and we invite you to explore the other videos on this channel, each one a testament to the truth that the wildest frontier was not the land but the human heart, capable of both terrible cruelty and transcendent love. Your engagement, your likes, and your subscriptions are the fuel that keeps these stories alive. So thank you for being part of this community that values the old tales of honor. And we'll see you soon around the next bend in the trail.